I don't like money in my account that's not mine. If I get paid tomorrow like £5,000 and my mortgage is £1,000, that money isn't mine. So what I'll do straight away, money is very deceptive. See that in your account, be like, yeah, that's mine. When you're seeing that, you're rubbing your hands, you're not thinking about your bills. You want to earn money, you have to move around. If you stay somewhere too long, you'll start seeing people come in earning more than you and they're actually less qualified than you. I knew from the start what my end goal was. Every time I made a move in job roles, I didn't just move for money, but also I knew I needed to learn something different. You gotta be careful with promotions. Like most of the times they're scams. So they give you a title, but then the pay rise is peanut. Wealthy people, they're building wealth, but whilst doing that, they are spending money on their health and their well-being. What is the point in you accumulating all this wealth and then you get sick because you've been eating bad? With money, you tell it where to go. One thing that I've learned, if you've got increased income, yes, reward yourself, but not in relation to what you've got. Reward yourself for where you are. Do traditional things as well. These are things that have been working since the beginning of time. There's no point trying to create wealth but not trying to preserve it at the same time.
You're not defined by where you come from.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big message that I always want to tell people. Like
you have to be able to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
When you grow up in ends, you don't realise it when you're confident, but you have an audacity to do things that ordinarily most people wouldn't be willing to do.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. We've got a special guest in the building. Crosby, how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Ato, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very, very, very good. It's been one of those days. I had to wake up early for something, and so a little bit like, trying to try and get through the days. You know what I mean? Like when it's like a busy day, right? So how's the start to the new year been for you?
Do you know, it's been really good for me. So I've been working a lot on the business this year. So doing a lot of networking, getting out there, meeting other business owners, just trying to extend my reach, I would say.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of stuff on social media, content, just trying to provide information for people as well. So not just my clients, but just potential clients or even just people in general that want to know stuff, accounting related and stuff. Just trying to give back, I would say.
Yeah. I like the sound of that, man, because that's what we do here. We talk a lot, to entrepreneurs. We cover a lot of financial topics, and I think it's very needed. Do you know what I mean? Especially in our community,
100%.
right? It's not something that we always talk about, and I feel like this is the year that we can, spread this kind of information. But actually, on that note, who is Crosby?
That's a very good question. So my name is Crosby Enninful. I'm 32. I'm the founder of Egbenn Accountancy Services, which is an accountancy firm. Been doing that for around 5 years, but I've been in the industry 12 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
big.
We're doing it a long time, since 2011, 2012, I'd say. I don't know, I always say that because people look at me and they're like, you look really young. You look too young to be doing it. But that's why I mentioned my age as well.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing it 12 years.
Wow.
And so in terms of the business, we work with a range of businesses, all in different industries, from construction to mechanics to recruitment, all sorts. But I think for me, the clients I like working with the most, I would say like small to medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
Because I like to see businesses grow and like to be on that journey with my clients, as they're trying to grow and scale and just try and assist in any way I can.
Yeah. And we're going to definitely cover a lot of, the conversations and the insights that you kind of gain from, helping your clients. I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting for people who want to also, scale their businesses and also get better with, again, finance and thinking about how they can kind of like build wealth, whether it's, person is an employee or like through their business. But we always like to start the podcast with like, talking about your story. I guess, where are your parents from?
Okay, mum's from Nigeria, dad's from Ghana.
Okay, wow, you mix.
Yeah, mix.
Good mix, yeah.
So they met in London.
Okay.
And then we grew up in Essex.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit of a
oh, mad.
mixture, yeah.
How do you find it like growing up in Essex?
If I'm honest with you, when I was really young, enjoyed it. As I got older, probably like 14, 15, 16, 17, didn't like it. But I felt like, the older I got, it's like you begin to realise even people that are your friends, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're just not your people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not to say like my people have to be black people, but just a certain type of people. But then one thing I would say, looking back in hindsight now, I'm glad I grew up where I grew up, because I think it's helped me, especially in the working world, being able to work in companies and just being able to interact or just build relationships with all different types of people. So I think, and I've seen sometimes people maybe that have grown up in London, they struggle to conversate or articulate or just work with people, other types of people, I'd say, from different right? So it has really helped me in that sense. But yeah, growing up, I didn't like it. I'll be lying to you. No.
Yeah, that like relevation, right, about it and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I think obviously the older you get, the
yourself.
more like hindsight you have on things, you know. I always say, like, you know, when you're young and you're a kid, you don't really appreciate your parents. The older you get, the more you appreciate your parents.
Yeah.
So especially like now I've got 2 kids. So now it's like, okay, my appreciation of my parents has gone to a different level, because obviously now I'm there thinking, okay, so you were dealing with raising kids, but still doing all this stuff, still working, still going out, still doing that. Most times, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do nothing. You're just tired all the time, do you know what I mean? But you got to find the strength to do things and live life and navigate and make sure that your kids are having a good life, you know, like experiencing, like, might be going to theme parks, parties, all that stuff. So yeah, it's not easy. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for all parents, I would say. Having obviously been in that stage now.
Yeah. I'm not at that stage yet, so you know I can't really relate. But I respect parents for the hard work that you guys put in. I think is very important. And like you say, I think it's like until you get to a certain stage and you get to a certain part of your life and you kind of see what your parents see, that's when you kind of realization. But maybe when you're younger, it's like, you kind of take it for granted, right? Like,
100%. But the one thing I say, when you're young, you're not meant to think about those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like my oldest son's 7. I don't expect him to be thinking about, like, to an extent, like my well-being and what I need to do. He's young, like, be a kid. I want him to be a kid. I want him to have fun. Do you see what I mean? Because there's going to come a day when he's an adult and he's not going to have all that time to have fun. So I remember when I was growing up, I was wanting to be an adult, like I wanted to be responsible and that.
Okay.
I do enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but it's not easy. So it's like, for me, it's like, now Mike is like, be a kid, have fun. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there are times as a kid you got to be serious, like maybe you got exams, you're doing things great, but I don't want to take that away from them. But at the same time, I don't want to not tell them that being an adult has challenges and life, there's difficulties. So I don't want to shield that stuff from them. So for me, it's always about letting them know what's going on, because my thing is that if you tell a child from young about overcoming trials and difficulties, they're used to it. So now when they're older, they're not shocked by things, you know what I mean? Because they've been told it from young. They've seen how their parents have overcome, and now they're able to do that themselves. So
Important.
Yeah, very important. Very,
You
very
know what?
important.
Yeah, I want to just touch on that. You said that something about like you being like serious from when you're young. What's that about? What?
Do you know what it was? No,
That's just your personality, or
yeah. What I find is that when you're like, I use my example. Like, grew up just my mum, and my dad wasn't around, so it was difficult. Do you see what I mean? So for me, it's like when you're older, I had this vision that you have control over your, like, what happens to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, your financial circumstance, your personal circumstance. When you're a child, you don't. Like, decisions made by other people, be your parents, they have a big impact on you, but there's nothing you can do about it, even family. So my thing was always, okay, like, I want to be older because I want to have control of that, if that makes sense. And just some of the things that I had to deal with growing up, I was like, I didn't want my kids to have to deal with that, and I just wanted a bit more control, I would say, over that.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm wondering, what made you want to get into like accountancy? That's an interesting path.
I say it was year 10. I was 15, and I always loved maths. So I did math. I did my GCSE level, my GCSE maths a year early in year 10.
Wow.
But I think I remember one time I was in class, and I was like, I think I heard somewhere that, you know, accountants deal with numbers. So it sort of like piqued a bit of an interest, like, you know, maybe that's something I'll consider. And then in college, I did AAT, which is like a basic like bookkeeping. So like the entry level accounting course. Really enjoyed it. And then from there, I was like, yeah, I went to university, did accounting and finance. And from that stage, I sort of knew where I was going.
Okay.
Which has sort of led me to where I am now, I would say.
Wow.
So yeah, it's probably like 15.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a young age. So, you technically you're kind of like an accountant whiz then. Really and truly.
Whiz.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're doing it from 15. That's young.
No. What? So 17.
Okay, that's still young.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like,
young.
that's 15 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long, long time. Okay, cool. So you got into accountancy, right? You knew that you wanted to do it, and I remember you when we were talking about when we were talking about the podcast itself. So you said your starting salary was like 18,000, right?
Yeah. Listen,
that's crazy.
yeah, it was.
How was you living on that, man?
But I think, you know, at the time, so I came out of university.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I came out of university. I got a 2-2. Bear in mind, when I was in university, all I remember them saying is that if you don't get a 2-1, they were basically saying you're finished. Like, you're not. There's like, do you know what I mean? There's no hope for you. Like, you're not gonna get a job. Nothing. So I came out of university with a 2-2.
Okay.
I would say the thing that really helped me is at that time I got saved. I gave my life to Christ. So when I was dealing with all this, like I didn't do well in university, like what am I going to do? I'd give my life to Christ, and that really helped me through that difficult time. It was quite a dark time for me, if I'm being honest with you. And then one thing that did help me, I'll be honest with you, is that whilst I was in my final year of university, I was doing work experience for my aunt's accountant. So I was going in like 1 day a week, just doing like basic accountancy work.
Yeah.
So obviously when I've come out of university now, looking for a job, the fact that I had work experience, it helped me, and it sort of set me apart from other people, because a lot of people, they might have done better than me in their results, but because I had experience as well, I was then able to find a job. So from there, found a job, started working. So that 18K at the time, listen, I was happy because I think the actual graduate jobs, people were getting maybe like 20, 25. But from where I was at that point where I thought I had no hope, to finding a job where, you know, I was a trainee accountant, they were paying for my like exams, I was in the field I wanted to be in, I was just happy, if I'm being honest with you, yeah. Wow. But I would say at that point as well, I was staying with family. So like, you know, I wasn't paying
saving
rent.
a lot of money.
Yeah, and those times I was living in Ladbroke Grove.
Yeah.
My first job was in the West End. I used to get the bus, the 18 bus down all the way to work. So do you know what I mean? I'm paying like what, those times, probably like less than £3 to get to work. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So at that time, it was okay. Yeah. I'll be honest, it wasn't bad. But obviously, if I look at it now, yeah, I'll laugh. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, I can't live on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, but
I can't live on that. So were you saving your money a lot at that age? Were you thinking, because obviously you were training to be an accountant, so was your mindset like, okay, I should put some money away or like invest?
Yeah, I would say I was saving money. I think what really helped me at that time as well is that do you know what? I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I remember I read that book and it changed my life. Like, so then from there, I read that book, started going on property courses, but I wasn't in a position to buy or anything. But the things that I learned on there really helped. So I learned about credit from going on those courses. So then, you know, the importance of having good credit. So using credit cards, like paying them off, building your credit, things like that. So those things really helped me alongside what I was doing in work, because it's like, it's sort of a twofold thing. So you do need to save and have money, but you also need to have good credit.
Yeah. It's important.
Very important.
Very important.
But I wasn't taught that. No one really told me that. So that's what I'm saying. So I was sort of trying to work on both things at the same time, because you could have a lot of money, but you might not be able to buy a house.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because you ain't got no credit.
Yeah.
Because you buy everything cash.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think for me it really helped. So as I was on the journey of like my working career, I was working on my credit and like, you know, trying to save and stuff as well.
That's so amazing. The fact that you were doing that so young. Like, I didn't really start focusing on that until mid-20s for me, I think.
Mm.
Maybe towards late 20-ish. Yeah, I'll say, let me stick to mid-20s. Let me say late 20s. Mid-20s,
Yeah.
I started looking at that. And another thing I wanted to touch on, right, is like, you know, like with the education thing, I think, you know, with like 2-1s, 2-2s, you know, those kind of things, I feel like they don't define people, but
No.
it's like how you bounce back from it. It's like, what's the other route? And it's amazing that you managed to find like on another route,
Yeah.
you know, that works for you, right? And I think that's like a key message for people, that, you know, if something doesn't work out, or, you know, you've got expectations and you don't hit a certain goal,
Yeah.
it just means take another path. It don't mean like, that's the thing with uni makes you feel like, if you don't hit like a first or 2-1, like you said, like, life's done, that's it, I'm gonna be a failure for life, when that's not really
I know what
true.
you mean.
They're not very good at educating on us on, of course they want us to get the higher grades, but they're not very good at educating us on saying, you know what, there's an alternative path, you can still make it. So yeah, it's very important. So another thing that was very interesting, this is why your journey is mad interesting. So you started off 18k, you say that you got 2-2 at uni, but then you managed to get to 6 figures in your career, right? How did you manage to do that? That's crazy.
Do you know, I would say when I started looking for jobs, one of my uncles, like, great. Do you know, me and him, we've always talked about like jobs and stuff. Like, he sort of, like, he's really helped me on my journey. So he was just like, listen, you've got to like move around to, like, if you want to earn money, you have to move around, because what happens is if you stay somewhere too long, you'll start seeing people come in earning more than you, and they're actually less qualified than you. So I was in my first job for, I think it was around 3 years. And another funny thing I'll tell you about work as well is that when I went into my job, I just assumed, is that, you work hard, and it's almost like your employer will come to you and be like, yeah, you work really hard, here's a pay rise. No, that's not how it works. Every pay rise I've got, you have to fight for it. And someone at my first job taught me that. To me, that was wild, because again, it's like, no one tells you these things. You almost assume that, just work hard, you'll be rewarded. But no, like, in the background, you sort of need to like fight your case and like do all that stuff. So so I was in my first job a few years, got to a point where I had good experience, but the pay just, for what I was doing a lot, and the pay weren't equating. And what I've always found in my jobs is that I always know where it's that point. So for example, it's like, in this job, I knew that, I should be earning more than this. And then, so started looking, found another job. And then when I started that job, I felt like a fraud, because now I was earning more money, but then because I was new to the job, you almost feel like you don't deserve it, because obviously you're not at that level yet, but it's just one of those things that takes time. So then after a few years, I was there, got like good at the job, like qualified, and as an accountant, automatically, as soon as you qualify, as soon as you like finish your examinations, you get a pay rise instant. Like, it's no, like, do you know what I mean? There's no like debate or discussion. Do you know what I mean? You're getting an instant pay rise. Again, that helped. But then now it's like, I got the pay rise, but then it's like, okay, also when you work in an accountancy firm, you don't get paid as much as if you're an accountant working in a company, like a finance department for a company. So now it's like, okay, I need to start like moving, because like I'm sort of hitting a ceiling where I am. And it's like, when you hit a ceiling, you've got two choices. You either stay or you move on. Because I knew it's like, okay, if I wanted like a big pay rise, I'm not going to get it here. Do you know what I mean? You fight, you know what I mean? You negotiate and that. At work, what they might give you 1k, 2k, 3k, and then people get
These
gassed.
guys will give you peanuts,
but then you realize
man.
if you get 1k, I think at one point I got 1k pay rise, and it's like an extra £20 a month, and like no disrespect, but honestly, it's like a slap in the face.
It basically is.
It basically is a slap in the face, but then they're saying to you, oh, like, yeah, like you should be grateful, but it's like, no, like that's not how it works. But then one thing I've always realized is that when it comes to work and stuff, it's like there's two types of people. There's one that'll say, oh, my pay's not enough, but they'll stay. But I was never that person. Like, if I come to you and say, and I have valid reasons, like, the pay's not right or something's not right, and you're not looking to rectify it, then I have to go.
Yeah.
Because if not, if I stay, then it's like I'm doing myself a disjustice.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm talking the talk,
Yeah.
but then there's no action. Do you see what I mean? On the other side of it. So it's like I will say the pay is not right or whatever's not right.
Yeah.
And if it's something that's really serious to me and they're not looking to change it, then I have to go because I've kicked up a storm about it. And you're basically saying no. So yeah, I moved around like into a few jobs, but like I said, having those conversations with my uncle at the start really helped me.
Yeah.
To know that, you know, it's the only way. Do you see what I mean? So I know if I stayed in that first job, if I was in that first job now, I'd probably be like on half of like, I wouldn't have got to 6 figures. No way. No,
You reckon?
no way. No chance in hell.
Even if you got promotions, you don't.
Nah.
Yeah.
No way.
Even promotions, they don't even give you that much. Like maybe.
Honestly, do you know promotions are most of the time, like you gotta be careful with promotions. Like they're scam. Most of the times they're scams because they give you a title, but then the pay rise is peanuts. Again, think about it. If you're getting a promotion and you're taking on extra responsibility, that should be reflected in the pay. But most times it's not.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, it's like if you want to give a promotion, great, but if the pay is not in line with that, let me just stay where I am.
Yeah.
Because there's no point. Why am I going to take on extra work for like a small increase? It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So I think, sort of having that mindset throughout my working career really helped.
Yeah.
To obviously get to that. But like I said, if I stayed where I was in my first job, or even a lot of the other jobs I left, no way. But I would say as well, when I got to that 6 figures, I was contracting.
Yeah. Okay.
So in accounting, to get to 6 figures, you need to be in like a quite high level role. So if it's an accountancy firm, you'd have to be like maybe like a partner, director. You know what I mean? Like really high level, which it's not easy to get to. Do you know what I mean?
And it takes years.
Years. So
how long are we talking? Like 10 years maybe?
Well, that's the thing. When I started, it was like 2012. This was like, this is what they'd say, you know, work 10 years, get to partner. But to be honest, when I got to my place, like, nah, that's changed. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that's how it was before, but nah, that's not the case now. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
The blueprint's completely changed because people ain't looking to go, partners ain't looking to go. They're eating. Why am I gonna go for? Like,
they're getting the shares.
do you know what I mean? So think about it. It's like now you got partners staying longer. You've got like senior managers, directors underneath, waiting for them to go. There's all these layers. Like you ain't gonna get there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times what happens is if you come in especially as like a trainee, they're always gonna see you as that trainee. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's why you gotta leave.
That, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, I remember him. Like you're not gonna get to that stage because there's so many people to surpass and hoops and hurdles. And yeah, like I said, to add insult to injury, you'll see people come in and be probably earning more than you. And you're training them. Do you know what I mean? There's situations, there's been jobs where you're training someone who's less qualified than you, not as good at the job, because bear in mind they're new in, earning more than you, and you're training them.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
It don't make
If you think again, like, don't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, so for me, it's like I always knew that one day my aim was always like, I'm gonna start an accountancy firm.
Yeah.
So from 21. So when I gave my life to Christ, that was one of the first things that I knew, like God told me, like, because before that I was in the mindset of, you know, working in an accountancy firm, you know, 10 years, you know, get the partner. But it's almost like, nah, like God was like, nah, don't shortchange yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like you can start your own firm, like you can have a business, you can make something of yourself. Do you know what I mean? So because I had that vision, that aim from the start, again, that really helped me. Yeah. Because I knew from the start what my end goal was. So every time I made a move in job roles, I didn't just move for money. So every time I moved, I did get more money, but also I knew I needed to learn something different. Okay. So there's no point in me going to another job, doing exactly the same thing, getting more money. How's that going to help me develop? So my thing was always, yes, I need to earn more money, but I needed to be learning something else or doing something else. So important. Again, do you see what I mean? So yeah, it's like you got to be strategic. It's like you can't just, like, especially with Korean stuff, you can't just like, oh, let's see how it goes and that. No, like you make of it Do you know what I mean? It's for you to make of it. So like I always say, people are like, oh yeah, accountants do well. Like, yes, if you're an accountant, you can make good money, but not every single accountant earns good money. Because if you're a qualified accountant, done all your exams, great experience, but you're working in like a small accountancy firm, you probably ain't gonna be on 50k.
Budget, right?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you could be someone who's maybe made a few moves or maybe started somewhere else, and you could be on like 6 figures. Not to say you're better at your job, like they're better at job, but do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just about that person made those moves and you didn't. So it does, like being it does help, but like I said, it's not the be all and end all, because you still need to be intentional, like a bit strategic, like, okay, what am I doing? What's my goal? Where am I trying to get to as well?
Yeah, it's important. It's super important. I actually had a question for you, right? Because obviously you went from 18,000 to over 6 figures. So in terms of like, did anything, I guess, change in terms of like, you know, expenses? Do your expenses go through like the roof or anything like that? And then I guess, how did you like manage it? Do you go crazy?
Nah, do you know what? Yeah, I think for me, because of how I'm so, like I said, I didn't grow up with much.
Yeah.
So because I never grew up with much, I'm used to not having much. So like, I'm quite a content person. So like, I might buy a few things here and there, but I'm not a big spender, all that sort of stuff. So again, that helps me.
Yeah.
On the other side, that as well is like, I've always like maintained some sort of like budget that I stick to and stuff.
Okay.
I think that was one thing that my work really helped me with, because like for clients, you know, you're looking after like their finances. So I'll be the person sitting there looking after their finances, but like, okay, and then I'm planning as well. It's like, okay, I know you've got a tax bill coming up maybe in a month's time, so you've got X amount in your account. Say you've got 50k in your account. I know you've got a tax bill of 10k coming next month, so I'm going to make sure you don't touch that. Do you see what I mean? So because I'm doing that for clients, I then sort of started to implement that in my own personal finances.
Okay.
So for me, what that looks like is that I had a couple of bank accounts. Do you see what I mean? So I have all my bills coming out of one, like direct debits, and then maybe spendings from another one. Because for me, one thing I hate more than anything, I don't like money in my account that's not mine.
Okay.
So by that I mean that if I get paid tomorrow like £5,000 and my mortgage is £1,000, my phone's £50, that money isn't mine. So what I'll do straight away, once I get paid, all the money that's not mine, that goes into the account, the bills account. So then I like to actually know what's mine. So it's like, after I've done all that, I can actually see what's mine. Okay, this is mine, let me manage that. Whereas if I just left it, if I just had one bank account, like money's very deceptive. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you think,
for real.
you see that in your account, like, yeah, that's mine. You're not, when you're seeing that, you're rubbing your hands, you're not thinking about your bills. You know what I mean? So that's why you have to, like, it has to be automated. Like you have to, like, especially like, you know what I mean? When you're getting old, you got a house, you got kids, all that stuff. You have to like plan, you have to budget, you have to know, like I say, what's your money and what doesn't belong to you.
For real.
Yeah.
You're right. You know, when you said deceptive, I was like, you know, I completely agree with that.
Listen, it's
you see that money. Oh, I got
yeah.
I got £1,000, not knowing you got 500 covered out, 100, 200. It's not really.
Yeah. And that's the thing, at that moment in time,
Mad.
you forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as humans, that naturally you do. You're not thinking that. You're like, oh yeah, great, but nah. So for me, like, but I said, having done that for clients, that I implemented in my own personal finances, and it wasn't like I intentionally done it. I just sort of started doing it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know it came from that.
Okay, that's important, man. How have you found business? Like, how have you? Obviously, you said that you started your own.
Yeah.
How are you finding it?
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's challenging though.
Okay.
It is.
What do you love and what don't you like about it?
So what I love about it is the work. So like, I like actually doing the work, like the accountancy work. I actually enjoy it. Some people like their accountants, they don't actually enjoy it. I actually do. So for me, it's like, I enjoy doing the work. I enjoy like speaking to clients, build, you know, having relationships with them. Like I enjoy that side of it. The side that I don't, well, I'd say the side I didn't enjoy as much, I would say, is that in today's day and age, you know, you gotta have like a presence, you know what I mean? Like the social medias, like you gotta be out there and stuff. So for me, when I was starting out, like I'll use like accounting firms as an example. It's like, it's almost like, you know, all new clients came from referrals. That was it. It was just, that was it. There was no, do you know what I mean? It's almost, you don't advertise, you don't do this, you don't market, you don't do all this other stuff. But obviously in today's day and age, it's not like that. Everything's about social media. So it's not necessary to say you're going to generate clients from that, but you need to have a presence. Like people need to know you're there. So like I was saying to you earlier, it's like you could have the best service in the world,
Yeah.
but if no one knows who you are, you're gonna have no clients.
That's it. Zero.
And then you could have someone with the worst service in the world. They got 1 million
Yeah,
clients.
yeah.
And what's that down to? Marketing, because
Yeah.
people know who they are. Do you see what I mean? So those things I would say I didn't see value in it at first. I would say that. But now I do, and I understand what I like about it as well, for me, is a way to give back. So it's like you can share like nuggets of information like on a mass scale. Whereas like me as a person, I like to help people. Like, you know, if someone will come to me like, oh, could be accounting, could be finance, it could be whatever it is, like, I'll help you, I've got time for you. So now it's like you can use social media to help people on a mass scale. Do you see what I mean? As well.
It's important, man. I think I definitely get what you're saying about the market. It's a bit of it's just one of those things, like social media is just like the new
you have
new
to.
age thing, right?
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta like be involved in it in some way, even if you don't like it. And these days, that's what people use as like their Google effect.
Yeah.
Like, if they want to
validate
see that you're
you and
real,
stuff.
you're not a scam,
Yeah.
you're not like doing any of that madness. I guess like, what do you feel like in terms of like, you know, now that you've done your own business for like 5 years, what do you feel like has surprised you about like, you know, running your own business?
I think, you know what it is, when at first, I would say at first, like I was doing it sort of on the side whilst contracting and stuff. So now it's like, now when you do it like full time, as you're doing it as your like your main source of income, you don't realize that there's so much that goes into it, like to like delivery of a service or a product to someone. It's like, you know, you go to a shop, you pick up a can of Fanta, you just think, yeah, this Fanta's here, but you don't realize, you know what I mean? That started like, you know, someone thought of the idea of creating it, then they went to a warehouse, they put the tin, they did the flavor, they did all that, and they delivered it to the shop, and now you're just picking it up. Do you see what I mean? There's so many systems, processes that go into delivering a product or a service to a client. And especially when you're new to business, you've not had to think about these things before, because you're in a job, and your job, you've got a job spec. You've got duties and roles. You just do that. You might go above and beyond to do a few extra things, but you don't think about that stuff. You don't think about the strategy. How am I going to deliver to market? Like, what is my target audience? Because now you're in control. You decide those things. You set that precedent. So I would say having to, just think in that way, because until you're in business, you don't have to. Because someone else has done that. Do you know what I mean? That's what you're paying for. You're paid. That's what you pay for. You're paying for someone else's, like, the time they've spent strategizing, like, you know, growing their business and stuff. I think another thing as well, especially when you start out, it's like you're the finance person, you're the salesperson, you're the admin, you're like, you wear like 50,000 different hats. But this is why I've learned the importance of like recruiting or outsourcing. Because think about it, it's like, this is what I say to people, is like, for you, your finances, your accounting, that's your admin. No one likes admin. I don't like my admin. You don't like your admin. But it's like, how am I going to grow my business if every day or every 2 minutes I'm dealing with my admin? That doesn't generate me revenue. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to drive the business forward. So you need to outsource. So, you know, so for clients, that's like getting an accountant. So they know that's taken care of, so they can focus on driving the business, scaling and growing. So for me, that means, you know, like employing staff, having like PAs, do you know what I mean? Dealing with the admin stuff, because at the end of the day, every minute I spend doing that, or you as a business owner spend doing that, that's a minute you could spend actually doing something that's actually going to take your business to where you want to take it to.
100%. Wow, I love that, man. I love that. And I think, like you said, I think is very important to just understand. I think there's a lot of things with business that you just can't really prepare for it. You just gotta get into it and just refine it, just get better with it and learn from it, right? So today we wanted to definitely talk about, like, you know, habits to building wealth. And, you know, you've worked with so many clients in so many different industries through your job and also through like your business. So of course I've imagined that you've worked with very wealthy clients, and I guess from like an accountant's perspective, I guess what are the like 4 habits that the clients have that you've worked with have adopted to help them build wealth?
I think the first one I would say is having a skill or a gift and mastering it. So with that, I would say the reason I say a gift is like if you're creative, you know, if like you're a musician, you have a gift, but now you know you've turned it into a business, or you know you can have a business. So like myself, I'm an accountant. That's a skill. So now I've turned that into a business, and now I'm mastering it. So for me, is that focus on that first. Build that, get focused like solely on that. Don't try and do 50,000 different things. If there's one thing you're really good at, work on that one first and drive that and push that as far as you can. And then obviously when you sort of accumulate some wealth from it, then you can look to do other things. But if you're trying to then try and do 50,000 different things, how are you gonna, do you see what I mean? How are you gonna generate wealth when you're got this and that and that and this? No, like be focused, be disciplined, have one thing, have a skill, gain a skill, turn that into a business, and then really just push that, drive that. Do you know what I mean? As far as it can, scale it. I'd say that would be the first one. I would say another one, I would say focus on health, definitely.
Okay.
A bit of a curveball.
Okay.
I would say with that is that as you will know, being in business is stressful, very stressful. It's not for the faint heart. It's not for everyone. I'll be honest with you. It's not. So it's very important you take care of your mind. So it might be like therapy, like counseling, whatever that is. And then also your health, like, you know, so myself, I go to the gym, like, and I say to my wife, listen, I need to go to the gym because all this stuff that we're trying to juggle, like business, family, like life, like I need that. Do you see what I mean? To be able to function. And then as well, it's like, you know, as you're gaining wealth, like, you know, you start to eat better things. Because, you know, let's be honest, like the foods we eat, they're not the best. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. It's not the best. Like these fast foods, not great.
Fast food's not good.
But then it's not good at all. But then even if you go to like, you go to a shop and it's like, you know, there's organic, there's, do you know what I mean? There's levels to food, do you know what I mean?
That's true.
And it's expensive, but I think this is the way I see it. It's like, what is the point in you accumulating all this wealth, and then you get sick because you've been eating bad? Do you see what I mean? It's like, and I say to my wife, it's like you want to be able to enjoy it. You don't want to be like, you know, I've made it in life, but like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm ill, like I've got chronic illness or like my back's hurting. Like, do you know what I mean? I've got really bad back pains. I can't walk. So alongside working on your business and growing it, like focus on your health as well, because like, you're gonna run yourself into the ground, like trying to get, because it's just not easy. I would say. I think two other ones. I would say insurance.
Okay.
I would say definitely
Insurance
having
to help you build wealth. Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
I would say a lot of rich people, they have like life insurance, like policies. But then also think as well is that you got a business. And you know, when you start, you are the business, but what if you fall ill for a period of time and stuff? And then now you can't work in the business and now your family's relying on you. So you've got to preserve what you have as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're building wealth, but you need to preserve what you have as well. And then again, sort of tying in with, like I was saying, health, like private medical. Really, like, listen, I would say to everyone, one of the first things you should do,
important, man,
private medical. Because listen, when you go to the doctors, like the NHS, like it's a great service. I'll never knock it, but it's a free service and they're servicing so many people. So it's like now
millions, right?
Listen, I don't know how many people. So many people. So now it's like, you know, if you've got some level, like get private medical. Do you know what I mean? Because like you find is if you do have problems, you're going to specialists, like they'll deal with things in 2 seconds. You'll get 2 seconds diagnosis. They'll be like, what? You need to surgery that? Bam, done. Do you see what I mean? Case closed. Whereas when you go through the NHS, and like I said, I'm not knocking them, they provide great service. Because there's so many people using that free service, you might need like a minor surgery. But they're saying to you, you might have to wait a year, 2 years. Do you see what I mean? It don't really make sense. And again, like I said, wealthy people, what are they focusing on? They're building wealth, but whilst doing that, they are spending money on their health and their well-being as well. Which is one thing that, especially we as like black people, do you know what I mean? We see value in like designer things and all that. Like, no, like let's focus on what's important. Do you see what I mean? Because you could have nice shoes on your feet, nice t-shirt on, but what's that doing for you? Do you know what I mean? Are you passing that down to your kids? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
true.
Your like nice trainers, your shoes and stuff.
100%, bro. I think it's it's so important. Like, and it's so mad that you're saying the health thing and the life insurance thing, because we actually spoke about that in terms of building wealth with EJ. Very important. Emmanuel, actually, I'm calling him EJ, but Emmanuel, yeah, very, very important. That's an absolute gem. And the health insurance thing is mad, because I remember I tried to book an appointment for something, right? And I was trying to get a referral because I've got like health insurance through like my company.
Yeah.
And I'm using it. I use it, right? I was like booking something for myself, right? And I was just trying to get a referral, but they thought I was asking them to book me an appointment, but I was asking for a referral. And then I started getting these letters through, right? And I kid you not, the appointments were like 8 months in advance. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait 8 months.
It's not a
to
joke.
get this thing?
You go to your GP, yeah. All you need is you get a referral letter from your GP. You send them the form.
Yeah.
You call. Oh yeah, they give you the list of the doctors. Oh, you find who you want to. Bam.
And you can
Quick.
see them within a week,
Yeah,
couple
it's
days
simple.
if you're lucky. Do
It's
you know what I mean?
simple.
Yeah.
Even like
Mad.
I'm trying to think. Even like I had a friend, like his wife went to the hospital because she had back pains and stuff. I think she needed an X-ray and stuff. And then I had to find out that there's certain machines. Like no, she needed an MRI. That's it. She needed an MRI. And she wasn't able to do it because basically between certain hours, NHS can use the MRI machines. And then I think it's maybe up to like 5, 6 p.m. But after that, they can't because they don't own it.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Do you know how mad that is?
That's
like,
mad.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say. Like, once you have some money, like, do that. Do you know what I mean? Especially like you got like wife, kids and all that stuff. Like, do that because you know what I mean? Like, especially the kids, like if a kid has something, you don't want to be there like your kid has something and you can't, do you know what I mean? They're having to wait a year and stuff for it. It's just not nice. Definitely.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's like reconditioning our brains to put more money into what's important.
Yeah,
So
100%.
like if you, and we're talking about people who've got the disposable income, instead of you like maybe getting the designers and all that first, maybe get the health insurance
get those things first,
the dental insurance, all of them things that's going to allow you to be in your optimum shape so that you can do everything else, because you can get that stuff after. If you're healthy and you're able to show up at work or your business like every week or whatever, then you're able to get those things eventually, right? Like, rather than if you're sick here and there, you got a thing you have to call in sick and stuff like that. Like, so it's important.
I think I think you had one more. So the last point, I would say you gotta have a team.
Okay.
So by that, it could be employees. So if you're a business, you gotta have employees. But like you need like an accountant, a financial advisor. You gotta have a team around you, because if you have a business, you can't do it all, like we were saying. So, you outsource, you bring employees in. But now it's like about generating wealth and preserving it. You don't know what accounting is.
Yeah, that's true.
You ain't got time to be filing, speak to HMRC, doing your filings, do you know what I mean? Calculating what tax to pay. That's not your area. So you need to bring those people in. And although they may not be your employees, they are still part of your team, because what are they doing? They're providing you a service, which then allows you to keep more of your money.
Wealth preservation, right?
Yeah. Listen,
which we're gonna cover that because it's important, man. Like I think there's a lot of differences between that. But actually, talking about wealth preservation, right? Budgeting is such is a big term in terms of that we talk about, obviously, in the personal finance world. And it's, I think I've talked a lot about budgeting. I've budgeted in my life. I'm sure that you budget.
You have to.
It. But in terms of budgeting, right? Because I think a lot of like when anybody looks at stuff, and I've been thinking more about it, can budgeting help you build wealth?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I'd say, but I say budgeting.
Yeah.
Budgeting is the basics.
Okay.
So I'll use myself for example. So what that looks like is like, start simple. What are your recurring expenses? You got your mortgage, like you got your phone bill, whatever it is, you know what I mean? You know what they are every month.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know what you earn every month. If you're an employee, do you know what I mean? If you're in business, you know those things. So income minus expenses, this is what I have left.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So now, from what you have left, what's happening with that? Because you then have like your unknown expenses. You might have a kid's party, petrol, whatever that is. But you need to be putting money aside and intentionally like spending or saving or doing stuff with your money. Like with money, it's like, you understand, you tell it where to go.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? You're in control of that.
Mm.
So one thing that I've learned is a lot of rich people, you read any book, but they say pay yourself first. And by that, you're like, what? Like, but then when you think about it, it's true, because what do we do naturally as human beings is that we pay all our bills, then we do what we're doing with our money, then we're like, oh, I've got nothing left to save. Oh, that's a shame. It's backwards. So yes, you know what your bills are, have money set aside for that, but then next you should be doing is, what am I putting aside? Are you saving that? Are you investing that? Do you see what I mean? Then you can do with what you need to do with the rest, because what then happens is that your mind will train yourself to only spend what you have, because you put that thing aside. You almost have to be, it almost needs to be like a system. It needs to be automated. There can't be much fault in it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. When you start out, it might be, but then you get to a stage where it's almost automated. So now we're saying about building wealth. So now you know what you're putting aside to save, invest, be it that in stock, shares, invest in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Whatever that is. Now that money is helping you to build wealth.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? But on the very basic level, it starts with a budget. Because you need to know how much you're earning, how much you're spending, what I have left, from what I have left, how much am I saving, how much am I... Do you get what I mean? So it does start with budgeting, but then obviously the next level on, or the levels above, is creating wealth. But it starts with a budget.
Okay. I love that. You know what I wanted to ask you actually, because it's something I've also been thinking about in terms of like budgeting, and I completely agree with you. I think it's like one of the most important things that you can do. I think sometimes where I feel like people can maybe go wrong with budgeting is that they could become it can teach you to become a bit more extreme with
I get
what you're
you mean.
doing. So now you start becoming stingy. Your quality of life starts decreasing, because all your the way you're training your mindset is, I need to save. So you're no longer almost enjoying what you've made, right? It's a bit of a balance that you have to kind of strike, I guess. What do you kind of think about that in terms of, budgeting from that perspective?
I get what you're saying. It can do that.
Yeah.
The ways to combat that is, okay, so have goals, have a vision. Like, what if you're gonna cut back extreme? Why? Is it because you're trying to buy a house? At least then you know, okay, or trying to like buy an investment property. At least then you know, I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing it for a defined period of time, and that's the end goal. Whereas if you just do it for the sake of doing it, yeah, you are going to, do you know what I mean? It's like, you're going to be demoralized. It's not going to help you to do that. I would say in terms of being stingy as well. So I laugh at that word. Nah, do you know what? Yeah.
Everybody says it, innit?
No, do you know what? Yeah, okay. So for me, like, I have a budget.
Yeah.
Cool, I have that. But I give as well. The reason for me personally is because I've been that kid who had nothing. Do you know what I mean? I've been that kid. There was times that I went on trips at school and I didn't know that someone else had paid. Do you know what I mean? And my mom told me. So I've been that kid. So it's like, why would I then not give back? Maybe not, it's not direct to that person, but give back, because like you were saying earlier, like when you're a child or when you're things happen, life happens, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you need a second chance. You need someone to give you a break. Do you get what I mean? So if now you're then being tight, that's not good. Do you know what I mean? And the Bible says seed time and harvest. Do you know what I mean? It's like you gotta give, like you gotta give out. I'm not saying give everything, but you do have to like give out, be it time. Sometimes you don't have to give someone money. You can give them like budgeting course, because I mean they might not be good with spending money. So rather than you just giving them money, maybe now you sit down with them, go through their finances and teach them how to do it. Do you see what I mean? Because it's not always giving money that's going to help a person. Do you see what I mean? But now if you give them the tools to be able to do it themselves, now they're not going to fall back into old habits. Do you see what I mean? But you have to be giving back in some way. You can't be tight. Everyone needs, do you know what I mean? Everyone at some point in time had a they say a break, like where someone just gave them favor. Do you know what I mean? Gave them something they didn't deserve and stuff. So if you're going to be tight, you're not really leaving. Do you know what I mean? You're not really leaving yourself open to opportunities like that as well. Yeah.
It's very, very important. So I wanted to actually talk about, some of your clients, right? And the kind of advice that you give them because you said that you're working with them to scale like the revenue of the company and stuff like that. And first, I would assume that in certain situations, the income is increasing, right?
Yeah.
And you know, typically as well, when your income's increasing, you want to get a bigger house, the bigger car.
Yeah.
You want to eat at the fanciest restaurant, holidays, blah blah blah, right? So I guess, do you have any tips in terms of thinking about how you can increase your expenses but at like a moderate pace, so it's not like a situation where you feel like, rah, my income's increased but I don't feel like I've
I get what
I've
you
got
mean.
more money there to do other things with,
Yeah, that's a good question. It's funny though. Do you know, we as human beings, as soon as the extra
Yeah.
money comes in, we're buying. We're
Yeah.
buying. I think what we should do is, like we said, is like, just because you've got extra money come in today, don't spend it straight away. Do you know what I mean? Give it some time to accumulate. Start maybe investing more, putting more aside. Then maybe you can look at that. But it's like, if you do it as soon as it comes in,
Yeah.
say for example, you're in business, you get a new client, biggest client, you're like, this is great. Like, let me go buy out, like, let me buy everything.
Yeah.
What if tomorrow that client like says nah, and they go away? Just what I mean, like, you lose that client. What are you gonna do now? You've already gone out. The money's just come in the door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've not even let it like sit anywhere before you've started to now try and like increase your lifestyle. No, like, let it just relax a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, give it some time. It's not always the first thing that you do when you get money is buy something like a car or something like, and let's call it a consumer item. Like, because there are two ways you can spend money which has the potential to earn you more money. So like, invest in yourself, like personal development, courses, mentors, coaches. You could do something like that. Because think about it, when you spend in that way, you're actually spending to then generate more money. But when you buy these things, what people tend to buy, like, I'll buy new stuff in my house, I'll buy a new car. That new car is not going to generate you no more money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
It doesn't really make sense. That's
an
it.
asset, right?
Yeah. So if you have got an increase in income, if you are gonna do that, look to spend on things that are gonna generate you even more. And then when you get to that next level, then start buying things. Do you see what I mean? It's
like
not delayed gratification. Don't as soon as it comes in the door. No, like, just what I mean, like, be wise, like, be prudent.
Yeah.
Let it actually like let it actually sit in your account for some time before you're spending it, because at the end of the day, it's in today, but will it be in tomorrow? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, delay gratification, definitely.
It's important, man. It's crazy because I feel like it's such a balancing act. On the one hand, like we said, we were talking about like not being stingy, living your best life and enjoying it. But at the same time, it's not like living your best life until your bank account is zero.
But you could do something. The thing is, like, you could do something like, let's use an example. Say you want to do like a crazy holiday, cost like 10K, whatever. Maybe do one that's just 2K. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all, like, people tend to go all out.
Yeah.
Like YOLO, all this stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? If you've got increased income, yes, like, reward yourself, but not in relation to what you've got. Reward yourself for where you are. Do you see what I mean? Think about where you are right now and go up like this rather than that. Do you see what I mean? If the income's gone up, great. That's great. But don't go up to the same level of the income. Go up a little bit. Reward yourself. Do you see what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like, if you're, like you're saying, if you're constantly just saving, investing, but you're not doing anything, like, as human beings, like, it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not enjoying the fruits of your labor, but just enjoy it in moderation to what you have, and just being aware that, you know, like, this money's coming today, it might not be tomorrow. It's not guaranteed. Because one thing we always assume as well is like, oh, money comes in, oh yeah, we've done it once, we'll do it again. No, it's not always like that. As you know from business, like, listen, you don't know when you're gonna blow. Do you know what I mean? What we were saying before, you don't know. And like, things in business, things can change in an instance, up and down.
Like
So that's why it's good to plan, good to like save, like have money set aside and all that stuff. Because just because you had one high day, that doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be high. Tomorrow might be low. So you need to have those reserves and things in place to cover those peaks and troughs. Because like you said, it's the same with life, highs and lows.
Yeah.
So if we're always, when we're high, spending high, what about the low? What's
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
what's
Where's there for the low?
right? Yeah, it's a mad thing. Okay, so I wanted to talk about sources of income because I think like there's this misconception about millionaires 7 sources of income, but actually you've worked with again lots of clients. I just want to like get your point of view on it. So I guess like typically like the clients that you've worked with, like how many sources of income I guess have you seen? Obviously, it's like on average, have you seen, is it like one source? Is it 2, 3? Is it like, and is it multiple things? Like they've got a job and like businesses and things like that?
I would say from what I've seen, probably like 2, 3.
Okay.
The primary one is like I said, the skill or the gift. But then it's like, they say diversify, like you should diversify, but you can even diversify within that one skill and gifts. So I'll use an example. Is like I've got a client who's mechanic, but he's got 3 garages. Do you see what I mean? So you think about it now, he's got people working in the garages. He has diversified to some extent because he's not just one business, now he's got 3. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you can focus on the one thing first. Once you've built enough wealth, then you can use some of that money, invest in property. Again, but you're starting with one. Do you see what I mean? You're starting with your core. Get that to a level first, and then from there, opportunities come. Because one thing, especially in business, you find is like opportunities spring up. Like you might meet someone, like a client or just anyone, and there's a potential for like maybe a potential business venture or something else to come from it. But I would say always the ones that I had, they might have 2, 3, but primarily the focus is the one. And then opportunities tend to come from that one. Yeah. Even if it's not in that specific thing, but opportunities tend to come from that.
Okay. Amazing. So in terms of, obviously, you've seen so many different sources of income in your clients. Which one has surprised you the most?
Do you know what? The maddest one that I've seen this was from working. This company, they created like the feathers in pillows. And they were making big money,
Feather, can you imagine?
Yeah, but if you think about it though, there's feathers in pillows, but they're making millions. Do you get what I mean?
It's wild when you think of that. Millions from feathers.
Listen, I'm telling you,
like everywhere around.
Put like in pillows. But that's another thing. Is like we always have this conception of business, like, oh, let's have the fancy business, or let's be the doctor, the lawyer, the accountant. But listen, there's plumbers, they're earning good money, There's builders, like honestly, builders earn good money. Do you see what I mean? But growing up, it might not be seen as like the best job to have. Do you see what I mean? Or like you're a builder, or like even bidman. I've heard some earn 50, 60K. Do you see what I mean? So it's like there's some jobs that are looked down upon or not seen as prestige.
Yeah.
But then, what do you want to have a prestige title but be earning 0, or do you actually want to accumulate wealth? Because like I said, this person who's creating the feathers in pillows, do you think they care if people are laughing? Do you know what I mean?
We're the ones laughing.
Do you know what I mean?
Who's
We're
laughing
laughing
us?
at you.
Is
Do you know
it
what I mean?
them or us?
Even like, do you know what? I always see like, this is a random one, like toilets. It's always that Armitage Shanks. Who is that person? But at the time, imagine that person. People like, is that you making toilets?
Yeah.
Laughing. But now who's laughing now? Do you know what I mean?
Laughing last, right?
Do you see what I mean? So sometimes we always focus on these like the prestige or like the professions, like especially growing up, everyone's like, that's like you want your kid to be a doctor or an accountant. Like no, like do you see what I mean? It's only now things have changed that now it's like people are more open to creative. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Like music, like even like podcasts, like art and stuff. Like because now you can see they can make money from it. Now people are getting respect for it. But before it was like, what is this? Do you see what I mean? So don't limit yourself. Like there are options. Like you could even do some random like sell like plugs or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? If you find something that works and it's gonna make you money, like then do it. Do you see what I mean? Like don't, because like I said, people will laugh at the start, but when do you know what I mean? When you're living nice and that, these are the same people that are gonna be coming to you.
100%. That's mad feathers, that's crazy. You know what? It's so mad because we all have pillows. But it's not something you think about.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah, of course somebody made money from this. I just
you
don't even think about the purchasing decision. They didn't have to convince me to buy pillows.
No, because you have to.
Right?
That's what I mean. It's like it's something that you need.
That's crazy. So I wanted to talk about the importance of like passive income as like as an income stream. I know it's like hard to, create it. But I guess can you talk about some of the reasons of why should we have one? And I guess what can happen if you don't have passive income? Because nobody really looks at the other side of, if you don't have passive income, what are some of like the dangers of that?
I'll say passive income is important to have, because if not, think about it. Yeah? Passive income is money that you earn whilst you're not doing anything. You know, people say whilst you're sleeping, but you don't have to be sleeping. You might be awake, you're earning money. If you're not earning passive income, then that means you're constantly have to be working all the time. Because even when you start a business, you are self-employed. It's like, it's great. Yeah, it is great. By that point, if you don't work, you're not eating. You know what I mean? So you can start that way, but then you need to try and look for ways to be generating money whilst you're not working. So that might be looked like to someone, they start a business, build it, and now they don't work in the business. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They work on the business, or they oversee it. They have a fully functioning team looks after it. They just come in every 3 hours and look after it. To an extent, that's passive. Do you see what I mean? It can be through investing. Like, you know, you could be putting money aside, putting into the stock market, you know, like using ISAs, all those things. That in the long run will pay off. Do you see what I mean? But the problem we have in today's society is everyone wants fast money.
Everybody wants fast money.
Everyone wants fast money.
Yeah.
Like, do you see what I mean? Because that's just the way it seems. Like, you know, everyone's on Instagram, TikTok, people blow from nowhere, and now they're making money off this. Do you know what I mean? So now everyone's thinking, but it's not for everyone. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, there's nothing wrong with you looking for opportunities like that. But my thing is that cover yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, be doing other things as well. Do traditional things as well. Because these are things that have been working since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
So if it worked since the beginning of time, why are you then going to try and think that you're going to create something new that someone else has done?
Yeah. 100%.
Do you see what I mean?
100%.
Like, I'm not the first accountant. I won't be the last. Do you see what I mean? But if I'm thinking that it needs to be done, no, like, do you see what I mean? Like they say, there's nothing really new under the sun. I say social media, but I think people have been doing that, but just not on a scale where it's in a different way.
Yeah.
Like advertise themselves, marketing, or whatever it was. You see what I mean? Because before like Instagram, like it was like YouTube.
Yeah.
But now it's Instagram, TikTok. So it's not new. But people always want the fast money. So if that's your calling, that's your area, then that focus on it. Because I'm saying there are people that are meant to earn money or generate wealth through that. But as well as that, look at traditional ways that have always been working from the beginning of time, like property as well. Sometimes it's almost like people, like we're saying, they want to find a new way. No, there's no new way. Just follow the blueprint that's been done before. Do you see what I mean?
Or even adjust the blueprint.
You can adjust it, tweak it. But there's a blueprint there.
Already there, right?
You ask most rich people, they'll tell you the same things.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's nothing new, but it's like people don't want to do that. So they want to do it their way. But you've not done it before.
Yeah.
So this is why, again, it's like you could have someone like mentors, coaches. But what's the point of having a mentor or coach? Because rather than you taking 10 years to do something, you'll take one because you're going to learn from what they've done. It's the same thing. It's a blueprint. Follow the blueprint. It's out there. Now, like social media, you can even Google.
You can Google this.
Do you know what I mean?
You can listen to the podcast.
You can listen to the podcast.
And then reach out to the people.
Yeah, you can do it. Like,
accessible.
it's
like
accessible.
That.
But I don't know.
People
But
seek it, right? Like,
yeah.
I think it's important. So I wanted to talk about that actually. What you were talking about, you kind of just mentioned it, like wealth creation. So we got wealth creation on one hand, and we got wealth preservation on another hand. It's kind of two different kind of things. I guess what is like, you know, the difference between them really, you know, between those two terms.
So creation is sort of you're building it. So let's use an example that if you want to create wealth, you might then buy properties. So now they're assets that you own.
Yeah.
So again, they go up in value, they go down, but that's yours. That's wealth. Do you see what I mean? Now, preservation is about how you buy them. So, for example, depending on how you buy a property, depends on how much tax you pay. So again, preservation is about trying to keep what you have now. So keeping your money, keeping whatever that is. So for me, it's like, it's a 2-step process.
Yeah.
But they work alongside each other. There's no point trying to create wealth but not trying to preserve it at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's like, it's almost like getting something in your hand and your fingers are open. Do you know what I mean? Just letting it go through. It don't make sense. You want to keep as much as you can.
Yeah. That's why you know what's so crazy about those two terms, and I think it's quite an important conversation. And I'm glad that we're speaking about it. And I haven't really touched on it in the podcast before, but you know, some people are really good at creating, like getting money. Hustlers.
Yeah,
They know
listen,
how to make
I'm
money,
telling you.
but they're not good at preserving it.
Yeah,
We've there's so many stories we hear, so many celebrities we hear. Even like some of our favorites, Mike Tyson. We've heard he's gone bankrupt.
yeah,
He's made upwards of 500k. So he clearly knows how to create wealth through his skill of
Yeah.
boxing, blah blah. But he didn't know how to preserve it to at that point. Now he's
Yeah.
obviously, I think he's getting back up on the wheel, and now
Yeah.
he's learned. But it's a very important thing. We always think on one side of the coin of the creation, but the preservation. We
Yeah.
forget about that side. Actually, like, now that we're at that level, how do we stay at that level with like all the other wealthy people? So I guess the question I had for you was, when should we be thinking about like wealth creation versus like wealth preservation?
I think they go hand in hand. So like I said, you can't do one without the other. So let's just use like an example of having a business. Because think about it, if your business grows, then your value grows. That's wealth creation. Now, preservation, how are you going to preserve it? Like I was saying, you're going to get a team in place. You're going to employ people because you can't do it all yourself. Do you see what I mean? So now, the more people you have working in the business, the further your business can go, the more service you can provide.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to hire an accountant because, again, you don't know like how to calculate what tax you need to pay. You don't know what ways you can reduce the tax you're paying. Again, so that person's going to do that. So now imagine, now you've got a business, you've got good money from it. Now you've got a bit of money in your actual hand, because obviously when you earn money for your business, that's not yours until you take it out. Now maybe you get a financial advisor. So now you're looking at buying properties and you're thinking, okay, now I'm looking to the future. It's not just about me. Like if you've got a family, like you've got wife, kids, like I want to leave something for someone after me. Like, you know, they say about generational wealth.
Yeah.
So you need a financial advisor because they're going to be able to tell you, okay, if you want to buy properties, they're going to, again, it's a blueprint. They're going to tell you the blueprint, the way to do it. They're going to say to you, if you do it this way, this is what money you're going to, or tax you're going to save. Do you see what I mean? So it's all about the team, having a team. So as your business or as your wealth is increasing, you need to start reaching out to these people and having these people in your team. Yeah. Because again, like we were saying, there's some people that are very good at making money. And I know some, do you know what I mean? They're great, but they're not good at keeping it.
Yeah. Boom, bust.
Again,
boom, bust every
it's like,
year.
you know what you're good at.
Yeah.
You have a skill, you're great at it, but there's things you're not good at. So again, going back to when you have a business, you have your admin. You don't like your admin. You have strengths and weaknesses. You need to have people like you recruit or that deal with things that you're not good at. That's the way to accumulate wealth. You look at Bill Gates, like Rich Branson, they don't do it all. Do you see what I mean?
True.
They have
True.
teams,
Teams,
like they have
yeah.
teams and teams and teams.
Yeah.
And that's what sometimes we don't get. Sometimes we were like, okay, we're starting here, but okay, just because you're starting there, that doesn't mean that's where you're going to finish. So it's not always that you need to get to like 6 figures before you start putting these things in place, especially if you have a business.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like once you earn over 80k, right, 85k, you need to register for VAT. Do you see what I mean? So there are thresholds for things you need, but why wait till you get to that stage to then put things in place? Because then what happens is you start doing something, then you get some wealth, you're going to start losing it because you haven't got the things in place or people in place to help you with that. So now what's going to happen? You're going to continue in this cycle, earning, losing. It's demoralizing. Do you know what I mean?
Man.
It's demoralizing. Do you see what I mean?
You really got for
You're
that?
thinking, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm making money. Where's it going? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're good at that thing. So focus on what you're good at. The things you're not good at, you need to hire.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Love that. And that is defo the theme of the episode. Like, you know, focus on your skill, and you know where you're not good at, hire a team. You're only as strong as your team.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah, no, it's been an amazing conversation. I guess, what have you got planned next for yourself, Crosby?
So for me this year, focusing on the business solely. So focusing on first, I'll say, because everyone's always like, you know, grow my business. First, focus on the clients I actually have. Definitely. I think sometimes in the pursuit of growing your business, sometimes you can get the client, do you know what I mean? Your day ones, the people that have been with you. So definitely focusing on that. Yeah. Looking at ways I can improve the service that I provide, the processes, like 100%, always like looking to improve, looking to grow the business. And then, like I said, just looking to share information more. So sort of like podcasts, like through my social media. I was just trying to give people information because at the end of the day, like I said, for me, I've gained a lot of knowledge throughout my career, and I want to share it because, like, say I might come across someone who wants to become an accountant, but they don't know the steps to navigate that. And to be honest, when I started out, I didn't know the steps from the start. It's almost like as I went along, I found out the steps.
Yeah.
So why would I not then help people on that journey?
100%.
Or if there's people in business that need a bit of assistance or what, why would I not then help someone? Because many people in my life have helped me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
now I'm in a place where let me help other people. So that's just my focus for the year. Just trying to grow, like improve, and just get out there more and just share, I'd say.
Amazing. Where can people find you? Obviously, if they want to reach out, start following you and your content.
Yeah,
Just,
so
reach out to
mainly, so I've got LinkedIn. So first name Crosby, Crosby, surname Enninful, followed by FCCA because I'm a chartered accountant with ACCA.
Love that.
And then you can follow me on Instagram, so Egbenn Accountancy on Instagram, and also on TikTok as well.
You're on the
I laughed,
TikTok
you know.
thing. Why are you laughing?
No, do you know what? That's new, but yeah.
Nah, keep it up, man. Look, TikTok is the
Why am I
young
laughing?
people's Google.
It
It is. It's their Google.
I think we set up a TikTok.
Honestly, I was talking about
Couple
this
weeks ago.
with somebody the
Yeah.
other day on the podcast on Friday, Kazi. I was talking about this with Kazi on Friday. Even me, I use TikTok to look at a restaurant for Valentine's Day. I went on there,
Yeah.
for birthdays. So I'm realizing, I'm like, right, I'm even getting into that now.
Yeah.
Because it makes, I wanted to see visually, I wanted to see people's reviews on it. I wanted to see the food, right? And that was a very easy way. It was better than Google, in my opinion. for that, right? So, yeah, no, TikTok, man, keep it going, man. No, it's been amazing having this conversation with you. I think it's a very important conversation. And, thanks for sharing your journey in your career. Thanks for talking to us about, the challenges of business, the realities of business as well. I think it's very important. And also thanks for talking about realities of, wealth building. It's it's a very important subject that we don't like to talk about too much. And there's different aspects of it.
Yeah.
Wealth building is, like you said, as part of it is the wealth preservation of it, right? You build your wealth, but how do you protect that? That's probably even the most important part.
Yeah,
You've done
100%.
all that hard work.
Yeah.
And then you want to protect it and you want it to still grow. You don't want it to, start going, down and then it becomes zero. And you're like, oh my God, like I'm back to square one. That you can lose a lot of energy and a lot of people get depressed about that. So it's very important. Do you have any final words for the watchers and listeners?
I would say just start somewhere. I think a lot of times people have this mindset of I can't do this, I can't do that. But do you actually know that you can't do that? Have you looked into it? Have you researched it? So I'd say just start looking. If there's something you have an interest in, be it like, let's use, for example, buying a house. So many people be like, I can't buy a house because of interest rates, I won't be able to get a mortgage. But do you know that? Have you spoken to a mortgage advisor? Do you see what I mean? So start something. If it's your business, if you want to start a business, start looking into that. Just start doing something, and then as you start doing things, that's when things start taking off. But you actually have to start.
Love that. I agree. You got to start and start today. Crosby said it, right? You got to start. You got to start
today. That's it.
I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming onto the podcast and sharing your story. Hopefully we can chat to you in a year, see how business is going. We can talk about
good.
more like personal finance tips, because I think it's very important. It really helps people. Do you know what I mean? Having these kind of conversations, and it's things that we're thinking about, but we're having it in a way that is like, inclusive to people. Thanks, watchers and listeners, for tuning into this episode of the podcast, and we'll see you next week's episode.